All right, let's unpack this, huh? We're taking a deep dive into the world of professional employer organizations.
PEOs.
PEOs, right. For those in the know, you've probably heard of them. They're the companies that team up with small businesses to handle all those kind of tricky HR tasks.
Yeah.
Talk, payroll, benefits, workers' comp, that whole shebang.
You have the whole 9 yards.
But what I find really interesting is the regulatory framework that kind of underpins this whole system.
Yeah, that's right. We're talking about a unique situation where a third party steps in and essentially becomes the legal employer for certain purposes, creating a co-employment arrangement.
Okay.
And what's interesting is that the PEO industry itself has played a key role in shaping how it's regulated.
So let's back up for a sec. Can you kind of paint a picture of how this PEO model actually works?
Yeah.
What's the appeal for small businesses?
So imagine you're running a small manufacturing company.
Yeah.
You're great at building widgets, right? But keeping up with all the employment laws and payroll taxes and benefits administration, it's a major headache.
Big time.
A PEO swoops in and takes all that off your plate.
Nice.
They become the employer of record for tax and liability purposes while you still maintain day-to-day control over your employees.
So it's almost like outsourcing your entire HR department.
Exactly.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
But as with anything involving shared responsibilities, I imagine things can get a little complicated.
Absolutely. And our sources actually highlight some real-life legal cases that illustrate just how high the stakes can be in this kind of arrangement.
Oh.
For instance, there's the case of People v. Gaspar in California.
Ooh. Tell me more about that one.
Well, the owner of a PEO was actually convicted of running an unlawful insurance business.
Oh, wow.
They had failed to secure proper workers' compensation insurance for their client companies, leaving employees incredibly vulnerable.
Wow, that's a nightmare scenario for both the employees and the business owners who put their trust in that PEO.
Yeah. It really underscores why the regulatory structure surrounding PEOs is so crucial.
Yeah.
We're talking about protecting people's livelihoods and ensuring that businesses are operating responsibly.
Absolutely. And speaking of regulation, this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Our sources indicate that the PEO industry hasn't exactly shied away from regulation.
Right.
In fact, they've actively pushed for it.
It might seem counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But it makes sense when you think about it.
Oh.
In the early days, the industry was plagued by bad actors, companies that weren't properly funding benefits or remitting taxes.
Wow.
This gave the entire industry a black eye.
So they realized that to gain legitimacy and attract investors, they needed to kind of clean up their act.
Right.
And the best way to do that was through regulation.
Precisely.
Okay.
By advocating for clear rules and standards, they could weed out the unscrupulous players and build trust with potential clients. It was a way to signal that they were serious about being reliable partners for small businesses.
That's fascinating. So let's trace how this push for regulation actually played out.
Okay.
What are some concrete examples of how the PEO industry has shaped its own oversight?
Well, one interesting example comes from Florida.
Yeah.
The state established a board of employee leasing companies to oversee the industry.
Okay.
What's unique about this board is that it includes both industry insiders and outsiders.
So you have representatives from PEOs sitting alongside people who might have a more critical perspective.
Exactly.
Oh, interesting.
The idea is to bring diverse viewpoints to the table and create a more balanced approach to regulation.
That sounds promising.
Right.
But I'm guessing it's not a perfect system.
You're right. A report actually revealed that the board often lacks full membership.
Oh, really?
Which raises questions about its effectiveness.
Yeah.
It highlights the ongoing challenges of finding the right balance between industry expertise and independent oversight.
Okay, so Florida offers a glimpse into how public-private governance can play out in the PEO world. But the industry also took matters into its own hands with the creation of ESAC, right?
Yes, the Employer Services Assurance Corporation.
Okay.
Think of it as the gold standard for PEOs.
Okay.
They set stringent ethical, operational, and financial standards that go above and beyond typical state requirements.
So it's a way for PEOs to kind of demonstrate their commitment to best practices and differentiate themselves from the competition.
Exactly.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Less than 5% of PEOs actually hold this accreditation.
Really?
Which begs the question,
Yeah.
is ESAC accessible enough?
Right.
Should it be expanded to encourage wider adoption?
Yeah.
These are some of the complex questions facing the industry.
Makes you wonder if self-regulation alone is enough to truly safeguard the interests of everyone involved.
Right, and that tension between self-regulation and government oversight is at the heart of a debate that's been brewing in Texas.
Now, that sounds like a story we need to unpack. Definitely.
Let's dive into that let's dive into that right now.
Sounds good. So Texas was considering a pretty radical move.
Oh, really?
Completely deregulating the PEO industry.
Hold on, deregulating. But we just talked about how the industry itself pushed for more regulation.
Right.
What was the thinking there?
Well, the argument in Texas was that alternative oversight mechanisms like ESAC accreditation and the IRS's Certified Professional Employer Organization Program, or CPEO, were sufficient.
So they figured if the PEO is already jumping through those hoops, why add another layer of bureaucracy with state licensing?
Exactly.
Okay.
Proponents of deregulation saw it as a way to streamline things, reduce costs for PEOs, and potentially even encourage more innovation in the industry.
Yeah, I can see the appeal.
Yeah.
But I bet that proposal stirred up some controversy.
You bet it did.
Yeah.
Worker advocacy groups, in particular, voiced strong concerns that deregulation would leave employees vulnerable.
They argued that state licensing provides an essential safeguard, ensuring PEOs meet basic standards of financial stability and ethical conduct.
It's a classic debate, the power of the free market versus the need for government oversight.
Exactly.
Those who favor deregulation often believe that competition and reputation will keep businesses in line.
Right.
But others argue that you can't always rely on self-regulation to protect workers' rights.
That's the crux of it.
Yeah.
And this debate isn't limited to Texas.
Right.
It's playing out in various states as the PEO industry continues to grow and evolve.
Yeah. So I imagine finding the right balance is key.
Yeah.
Too much regulation could stifle growth and innovation, potentially harming the very businesses and employees PEOs are meant to serve.
Right.
But too little regulation opens the door to abuse and exploitation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The goal is to foster a healthy and responsible PEO industry that provides real value to small businesses while safeguarding the rights and well-being of their workers.
So what was the outcome of this Texas deregulation push? Did they actually go through with it?
Ultimately, the proposal faced significant opposition and was tabled by the Texas legislature. So for now, PEOs in Texas still need to obtain a state license.
Sounds like a temporary truce in a much larger battle.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this debate is far from over.
I agree. As the PEO industry continues to grow and change, these questions around optimal regulation will only become more pressing.
Yeah.
And there's another factor that adds another layer of complexity: technology.
You're right. Our outline did mention AI and automation.
Right.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how these advancements could impact the PEO landscape.
Well, technology is poised to disrupt the HR industry in profound ways, and PEOs are no exception. Imagine a world where AI can handle many of the tasks currently performed by PEOs. Things like payroll processing, benefits administration, even compliance monitoring could become largely automated.
That raises some big questions. Will this make PEOs more efficient and affordable?
Right.
Or will it lead to job displacement in the HR sector?
Those are certainly key concerns.
Yeah.
But we also need to think about how automation might impact the regulatory landscape. If AI systems are handling sensitive employee data and making crucial decisions, how do we ensure fairness, transparency, and accountability?
It almost seems like these are huge societal questions we need to grapple with.
Right.
It seems like the PEO regulatory maze is only going to get more complex in the years to come.
Absolutely. And with any powerful tool, AI can be used for good or for ill.
Right.
It's up to us to shape the regulatory framework in a way that maximizes the benefits of automation while mitigating the risks.
Okay, so we've explored how the regulatory structure supports PEOs, but what about co-employment itself? What are the implications for both businesses and workers? That seemed like a topic worthy of its own deep dive.
Definitely, there's a lot to unpack there. From both sides of the equation, let's delve into the nuances of co-employment let's just jump right into it.
All right, sounds good. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of co-employment. We've talked about the regulatory structure surrounding PEOs.
Right.
But now I'm curious about the implications for the businesses and employees directly involved in these arrangements.
It's definitely a two-sided coin.
Yeah.
Let's start with the small business perspective. Why would a business owner choose to enter into a co-employment agreement?
Yeah, what's the draw?
Think back to that small manufacturing company we discussed earlier.
Okay.
They excel at making widgets.
Right.
But navigating the complexities of HR can be a daunting task.
For sure.
Partnering with a PEO gives them access to expertise and resources they might not otherwise have.
So it's like gaining an entire HR department without the overhead of hiring and managing those employees directly.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that expertise extends beyond just compliance.
Yeah.
PEOs can often negotiate better rates for benefits packages,
Oh, okay.
giving small businesses an edge in attracting and retaining talent.
That's a huge plus, especially in a competitive job market.
Right.
Offering comprehensive benefits can be a game changer for employee morale and retention.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about the administrative burden.
Right.
PEOs handle all those time-consuming tasks like payroll processing, tax filings, and workers' compensation administration.
Yeah.
This frees up small business owners to focus on what they do best,
Right.
running and growing their companies.
It sounds like a win-win for small businesses.
Yeah, for sure.
But what about the employees? How does co-employment impact their experience?
That's where things get a little more nuanced.
Okay.
On the one hand,
Yeah.
employees often benefit from the PEO's HR expertise and resources.
Okay.
They might gain access to better benefits packages,
Okay.
more robust training opportunities, or
Right.
even more streamlined HR processes.
Yeah. So in some ways, it's like having the best of both worlds.
Right.
The stability of working for a smaller company combined with the advantages of a larger organization.
Right. But on the flip side,
Yeah.
co-employment can create confusion about who's ultimately responsible for things like performance reviews,
Oh,
disciplinary actions, and terminations.
gotcha.
Remember that Labardi case in Florida?
Yeah.
That situation highlights how blurry the lines can become.
It's crucial for both the PEO and the client company to be crystal clear with employees about how the co-employment relationship works in practice.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Open communication is paramount.
Mm-hmm.
Employees need to know who to approach with questions, concerns, or grievances.
Okay.
Otherwise, they can feel caught in the middle.
So just like any successful partnership,
Yeah.
co-employment hinges on clear communication, defined roles, and a shared understanding of expectations.
Well said.
Yeah.
When done right, it can be a mutually beneficial arrangement. But as we've seen from the court cases and regulatory debates, there are definitely challenges to navigate.
It all circles back to the importance of that regulatory framework we discussed earlier.
Right.
Whether it's state licensing requirements, industry-led initiatives like ESAC, or even the evolving role of technology.
Mm-hmm.
These safeguards are crucial for ensuring co-employment arrangements are fair and transparent.
Couldn't agree more. We need a system that protects the interests of businesses, workers, and the PEOs themselves.
So if you're a small business owner considering a PEO,
Yeah.
what's the key takeaway here?
Do your homework.
Okay.
Look for a PEO that's reputable, transparent, and aligns with your company's values.
Okay.
Make sure you understand the co-employment agreement inside and out.
And for employees who find themselves in a co-employment situation.
Don't hesitate to ask questions.
Oh.
Understand your rights and responsibilities.
Right.
Know who to contact if you have concerns.
The world of PEOs and co-employment is definitely complex,
It is.
but it's shaping the future of work in significant ways.
It really is.
By understanding the regulatory landscape and the nuances of these arrangements,
Right.
we can work towards a future that's beneficial for everyone.
Well said.
Well, hey, this has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
But as with any complex topic, there's always more to explore.
Always.
I encourage you to continue your own research.
Yes.
And stay curious.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this journey through the world of PEOs and co-employment.
Appreciate it.
Until next time, keep learning and keep questioning.